very good evening. Hello and welcome. Vanakkam, namaskar, or साथ में ni hao, everyone. Well, this is of course Renuka, and this is episode 2 of the Montage of Singapore. Well, last week when we met, there was total excitement. It was quite an amazing show, I was told. In fact, the episode has been seen many times by everybody, and people have called me, they have spoken with me, and they have actually congratulated us on a wonderful initiative. Well, I do hope that this initiative, which is building the tiles of Montage of Singapore, continues. And of course, we continue to add value to each one of us. Well, we're talking about Singapore, guys, and Montage of Singapore is all about what you and I talk about day after day. We talk about living in Singapore. We talk about the multicultural and the different ethnicities being here, right here, as a melting pot is what we call Singapore as. And that's exactly what it is, because wherever we come from, whatever our backgrounds are, well, the moment we get into this pot, we start melting together in terms of adding cultures, adding different blends of the beautiful backgrounds that we come from. And that's how Singapore is really made today. Well, I'm really excited to be sharing that I've been talking to many people across different communities. And what I realize is everyone thinks of Singapore as a family. Just think about it. You know, a family which has different kinds of people. There is somebody who is absolutely the adult in the family and expects everyone to follow tradition. And then at the same time, there is somebody who joins that family from another place and then brings around some kind of different thoughts. Now there is another one who decides to go get married to somebody overseas and then of course brings another flavor to that family. Now think about that family. Well, left, right, south, north, east, west. Everyone's going in different directions. And then comes the need for integration. How do we really make sure that all these people blend into something beautiful and work towards a common future? That's exactly what the Montage of Singapore is all about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do welcome you right here. And then, of course, the need for community champions comes in. We're going to talk about that. But first, a look at the glimpses from episode 1 right here. Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud today to bring to you the Montage of Singapore. So, well, who's going to be here today? Miss Sim, welcome to Masti Media Network and welcome to the Montage of Singapore.
I'm a professional generalist.
Oh, wow.
Okay, we are easy
when
targets.
we go, yeah, we
are easy targets.
Exactly. So is there a festival which you feel, I wish it was a part of my community?
Festival that's very close to my heart. It's really Holy Mela. And through the years, it has gotten more and more exciting. You know, when you see the community come together, to just celebrate and just let your hair down. So there's something for everyone, regardless of age.
To introduce our guest who's going to be featuring on the next segment, Miss Sim.
He's a very, I've known him for several years, a good friend of mine, very charismatic, very focused, very committed leader. And I'm sure listeners will benefit from his sharing.
That's all. Well, of course, ladies and gentlemen, 13 episodes of the Montage of Singapore. They are going to be featuring some amazing guests and residents from Singapore who's going to talk about different values and different experiences. And right here, charismatic and a leader who's dynamic. Well, I've been wondering for a week the different names that I'm getting from you. Is it this guy? Is it that guy? Yes, we'll soon figure out who's this person in the spotlight today. Well, let's see right now. Welcome, Biren. It is such a pleasure, really, to have you on the sets of Montage of Singapore. How does it feel?
It feels surreal. I think it's really wonderful to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Well, you know what, Biren? I am now kind of thinking about the first time you and I met. All right, that was many, many years ago. And I was, of course, at the Singapore Gujarati Society's, the very famous Navratri
That's right.
Dandiya. And then I had been always talking to you on the phone, and I was thinking, who is this guy with the amazing voice? And of course, the personality that, well, shows on the telephone. And I was really wanting to see you. And that's when I saw you running everywhere, kind of taking care of every single guest. And that number ran into hundreds and almost 1,000, I guess, at that time. So tell me, 32 years of dedicated service. And out of that, 2 decades as the president of the Singapore Gujarati
1 decade.
Society. 1 decade, okay, thank God for that.
Yeah.
And of course, so much of hard work towards the community.
That's
Tell
right.
me, where does all this come up? What is your Singapore story?
Well, if you start from the very beginning, I think stems from the time that I came to Singapore when I was 7 years old.
Uh-huh.
I was born in India, of course, as most first child, they're born in India. So I went back to my hometown, came back when I was 7. I was straight into primary school, no kindergarten, nothing.
Uh-huh.
And the first 7 years were the formative years of my integration into school life, friends, family. And I must say that it was absolutely wonderful. I started connecting with the Singapore community, whether it was Indians, Chinese, Malays, without any issues whatsoever, right? I personally till today don't find any difference in almost anyone. I have felt no indifference. And the story starts from there. And then it moves on to the neighborhood where we played games together. You know, during rainy days, we used to make boats and put them in the longkang, as they call it, the drains, as they call it, hide
Yeah.
and seek, catching. You know,
Oh,
we don't come
wow.
back till 9, 10 in the night. Parents have to shout across the neighborhood, you know, where are you? Because there were no phones at the time, of course. Parents start looking for you. So slowly along over the years, I got integrated. And
Uh-huh.
obviously at a very young age, maybe about 15, that's when I got started and getting engaged with the Gujarati community in a more focused way. But the rest of the friendship remained.
So tell me, what would your take be if a child sort of moves to Singapore and is here at the age of 6 compared to somebody who's moving here with working and
Yeah.
a profession? Do you think there is more pressure to integrate? It is more challenging to integrate at a later stage in life?
Well, I don't know about challenging and more pressure, but obviously, if you have a lot more entanglement as you grow up, it means a
Yes.
lot more, right? I mean, if you know someone for 15 years versus you know someone for 5 months, it's a huge difference. So the assimilation into the community, into the country, is a lot better over a number of years. It's just that you got to double your effort if you come in much later, because you got to learn new things, you know, which you never learned before, and you're coming into a country that's fairly new with different rules, different social etiquettes,
Right.
you know, different wants, different needs. So it's a lot more harder. But as long as the acceptance is there, I think that's the key.
And that's what I want to talk about. So, when it comes to moving to a different country right now, you just mentioned there's more effort. So, who has to make more effort? Is it the person who is migrating, or is it the person who's already in this country and is accepting immigrants from different
I
parts?
think
What do you think?
I think equally both. Equally both. If you go to someone's house and you're having dinner as an invitee, I think you got to make the effort as well. The host has got to make the effort, like we are hosts if you're Singaporeans
Yes.
and residents. But I think on the other side, the invitee also has to make the effort. It works both ways. It just can't be one way, for sure.
Well, I feel that sometimes I'm not too sure if you have felt it, but I'll give you a very simple example. When there's a lift, there's an elevator, all of us are in that elevator, and most of the times, what people do is they're kind of looking at their gadgets,
Right.
right, and avoiding any kind of eye contact. And that goes not only for people you're meeting for the first time, but also for people you've met many times. And sometimes they sort of just look around as if they haven't realized that you're standing right there. So, do you think we have a lot of we have this kind of pressure on ourselves that, listen, integration doesn't start at that level. It starts at the very basic level, where you've got to start greeting somebody else who's in your condo, who's in the
Absolutely.
same elevator, right?
Absolutely. I believe, as you said rightly, integration is the first step is communication. It's a hello, it's a how are you? Can I take you out for coffee? Can we have tea? Can you come home for dinner? Can we
Right.
go out for a movie? And that's how it starts. It's a gradual process. But if you don't say hello, it's not going to work.
So how many times do you think you have said hello to anybody who?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm in a bad mood, no. But otherwise, generally, when we go into the lift, we try to make eye contact, smile at least. The bare minimum that we can do.
A bad mood. So, guys, it depends a lot on the mood as well,
Of
which is
course.
fine, which is
Yeah,
forgiven,
yeah.
frankly, because so many times we've had a rough day, right?
Yeah.
And we don't expect to be courteous at those times and kind of say, hello, you're from another community. I have this
No, not at all.
extra
Yeah,
pressure.
absolutely.
Yeah. But I think what I'm trying to derive here is that definitely today, even on this show, we talk about integrating communities. But I think the very simple point that when we are meeting somebody who we've seen for a few times or even not, just not staring at our gadgets, I think that would be a little beginning, right?
Absolutely.
All right. On that note, let's say a quick hello to people who are right now kind of watching us.
Yeah.
Lalita is saying hello and hello.
Hello.
Okay, charismatic, dynamic. Remember the guy that we've been talking about? Yes. And Sapna says hello. And of course, there's Dheeraj who's saying, hi, Renuka and Biren, loving the goof the goo. Thank you so much for watching us, guys. So, what's going to happen is that because this show is not something that I can really carry on for an hour, I got to keep talking to Biren about his experiences. But we're going to get into our next segment, which is called The Joy of Singapore. Don't go anywhere. This is the fun nest section, if I may call it that way. All right, and this is the part where I always talk about the rapid fire, and I want to make it rapid fire, but
Okay.
it's so much fun otherwise. So we can go slow on it, but I have these very important two questions.
Sure.
I'll be happy to ask you another one if we have time. So, Biren, if I were to just ask you, what are those top 3 points of Singapore that you feel doesn't exist anywhere else in the world? They just don't exist.
Top 3 points. I think the efficiency of the country is beyond par. And obviously, in my travels, I've lived abroad as well. I lived in America for a couple of years studying.
Mhm.
And as great a country as America is, I think the efficiency that's there in Singapore, it's next level. Not being pro-government or anything like that, but sincerely speaking, the services that the government provides
Uh-huh.
to its citizens in terms of feedback, in terms of things that you can ask them for, next level as well. Cleanliness, of course, goes without saying, it's next level. A couple of things, a lot more things, but what comes to mind are these 3 things.
Absolutely. And I think when it comes to cleanliness, just Biren and myself, and we'll try to add that in the behind the scenes. We were role playing a while ago, and I was supposed to be a tourist from another country who just came and dropped a tissue. And Biren looked at that and he was actually very real. You don't do that in this country. Very nicely said. But he made sure that he picked up the tissue, but at the same time, I learned my lesson in more ways than one. Well, so Biren, I have this question first.
Sure.
Okay, today I'm picking. Miss
Sure.
Sim, of course, I allowed her to pick.
Okay.
So, do you have a favorite word or a phrase in Singlish or any other language or dialect spoken in Singapore?
Ayo. That's a tough one. Yeah, so I mean, what comes to mind? Honestly, I don't speak English as much, right? But
well, I could guess that.
yeah, I don't. It's really strange, but I have not picked up any English words. But if there's one word that I would pick, it'd be ayo, because ayo can be replaced in so many ways: frustration, irritation, pleasure, in so many different ways.
So tell me, in a sentence, when
Yeah.
you're talking to me,
Yeah.
use ayo
In
in
a
three
good way or a
different
bad-
ways.
No, not three.
Three different
One
ways.
different
Come on,
way.
you can do that.
Ayo in a good way or a bad way?
In a good way.
Ayo, wow. You look nice.
And ayah, what have you done now?
Ayah, yeah, great. Ayo and ayah are two different
Okay.
different words, right?
Okay.
Ayah is more of a complaint, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Ayo is surprise, some sort of an expression, either good or bad.
Ayo, so nice, huh?
yeah.
Like that.
Like that. Yeah. Ayah, I think it's negative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, see, this is what we learn when we are on this show. Okay, ayah and ayo mean two different things. I think that's really an eye opener. All right, and now my favorite question that I'm going to ask everyone across
Okay.
these 13 episodes. So my guests from the other episodes are definitely going to be watching this
Okay.
and learning. So if you were to leave Singapore, What would you miss the most, and what would you miss the least?
Short or long time?
Short.
Well, doesn't
I'm not
matter.
letting you go long time.
It doesn't matter whether it's short or long, because the
Uh-huh.
answer would be the same. I'd miss my heart because I leave my heart back in Singapore.
Oof, deep.
You see, the bodily gratifications you can get anywhere else, but heart contentment is where your home is.
I am totally emotional right now. Yes. And what would you not miss about Singapore? Because your heart is
You're
with
going to
you.
tell me, Biren, your state of being is always, playing up. But the thing is this, right? That uh, it's like a relationship, right? You take it for better or for worse. And as far as I'm concerned, there are lots of things in Singapore that you could change, that maybe you don't like. But for better or for worse, this is my home. I love it. And if I'm away, there's nothing about it that is wrong that I would not miss.
Okay, not a straight answer. How could I ever imagine that this guy's going to give me a straight answer? Biren, what is it that you will not miss?
Don't do that, because I will not miss anything. I would miss my heart, like I said, but I will not miss anything.
Amazing. I tell
It's a
you.
home, for
Yeah,
better or for
it's
worse.
home. It's
Yeah.
home. So definitely wherever we go,
Yeah,
we look forward to coming back.
absolutely.
Don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very well said. All right, on that note, guys, ayo, we got to go to the next section. The section is over right now. Am I right in doing that?
I think so.
Okay, we're going to take a break here, but then this next section is for the audience. And why? Because the audience are going to get something very special from this one. So stay tuned, guys. This one is for you, coming up right now.
Make sure you add Masti to your lives. Download the app today and stay energized and connected on the go. Radio Masti 24/7 Live, Singapore's only Bollywood radio since 2009. Oh yeah. Josh
Welcome back. And of course, this is the Montage of Singapore on Masti Media Network, supported by the National Integration Council. This is the part which I love the most. It's called the trivia. And why is it called that? Because this is where I involve you, the audience, right? Now, what's going to happen is on your screens in just a little bit, you're going to see a question. And this question comes with 4 options for you to answer. The moment you answer that, of course, if you've also answered the question from episode 1, you are going to get a chance to be on this show. Yes. If you are a resident of Singapore and you are actually answering all the questions every episode, then the person who answers the questions maximum number of times is going to be sitting right here, as I say, on the couch next to me. And that is going to be your lucky day, isn't it? Don't you want to talk about your experiences in Singapore? So, well, you go and check out episode 1 for the question from there. But today, the question is right here on your screens. Well, the question is, which of these is not regarded as one of the official languages of Singapore? Which of these is not regarded as one of the official languages of Singapore? There's Tamil, there's Mandarin, there's Malay, and there's Cantonese. So you just got to tell us. What do you have to do? Well, you got to download the Radio Masti 24/7 app, and from there you can contact us in different ways. There's the messaging, there's the WhatsApp, in any way you want. But now, while I move ahead to my next section, this is where I want to know, why is Biren called a community champion? What do you guys think? Let's ask him. Biren, once more, it is such a pleasure to have you on this set today.
Thank you.
Seriously. Do you like the name, by the way, the Montage of Singapore? Do you like it?
Love it.
Yeah?
Yep.
And what do you think the montage should really have? When Singapore comes to your mind, what really comes to your mind first?
The people.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fantastic. And what I've seen is that you are very passionate. You know, guys, I was talking to him a few days ago, and he was complaining about, not complaining, he was sharing with me rather, that there were some phone calls coming to him. Yeah. And that's when I asked him, I said, why do you give your personal number everywhere? And he says, because people need help. They need to reach out to somebody. And that is exactly when I thought that this guy needs to be on my show. Somebody who's just willing to be there for everybody 24 hours. So, Biren, tell me, you've met through the last so many years,
Yeah.
right? You've met with communities, you met with people, you've met with so many different varieties of personalities,
Yeah.
if I may say that, in Singapore. So, is there something that you want to share with us that really stands out, and how you get involved not only within the Gujarati society but the community in general?
Oh, well, I think what happens is that when you're part of a community, people get to know who you are because you're everywhere, right?
Yes.
And they realize that not just me, but the other leaders in the community as well who are there right now, they come up to you and ask for help, just about any help. It could be they need a house to live in, and they need advice for a job. It could be medical assistance. It could be financial assistance of some sort. My son or daughter is coming from overseas. Is this a good place to be in? What are pitfalls, etc., etc.? And these are the kind of things you get into. And one thing always leads to another. So if you have someone who you have helped, then your number goes to the third person or the fourth person. And that's how the contacts happen. And that's how you
Yeah.
get involved. And that's exactly what it's all about. But nothing, as you said, not one incident stands out because there's so many incidences. There are too many to name. But the whole experience has been uplifting.
Amazing. Where do you get the time from? What makes you tell yourself that, listen, I have to be available all the time?
Because on my watch, it is 25, 26, 27, and then the day ends. It's not 24 hours.
I knew that. But you know what I need to really know is that, of course, a decade with the Singapore Gujarati Society. And then what I've seen is that you have organized amazing events and large scale events, if I may call that.
That's right.
And then, of course, I've seen not just the Gujaratis, of course, the larger Indian community is always there. But what about the Chinese, the Malays? I've seen everybody at your events.
Right.
So how do you really collaborate?
Correct. So a lot of our events are, of course, Gujarati centric.
Yes.
Because they're Gujarati in flavor and nature, right? But there are a couple of events that are not. Like Navratri, as you know, you've
Yeah.
been to Navratri.
Yeah.
Navratri is not. So we get a lot of races from the other communities. And one of the events that we have collaborated together is Holi, for example. Many years ago when I met Miss Sim while we were working with Katong
Yeah.
CC,
Yeah.
myself and the Marwari community, we approached the Katong CC, and Miss Sim was the chairperson at that time. And she also initiated simultaneously together with us to collaborate with 4 or 5 societies to do an
Okay.
event together. And it's gone on since then. In the earlier days, it was only the Marwari and the Gujarati Society that was doing the event, organizing the event. Very small, maybe about 700, 800, 900 people. But when Katong CC came in, under the auspices of Katong CC, it's 3,000-4,000 people now,
Oh, wow.
together with the other communities. So all of Katong residents, along with everyone from Singapore, whoever wants to come, they're welcome.
Amazing.
So
Amazing.
it's forged really good relationships across all the races.
Wonderful. So you know exactly where to go, guys, for your Navratris and any other celebrations,
Yeah.
of course. And I'm proud to say that we have been their media partners for 12 years as well.
For as long
So
as I can remember.
I know,
Yeah.
as long as he can remember. That's why I can remember him. All right. So we'll quickly take a look at what people are writing to us. I see that Mehek has written, you both are looking fabulous.
Thank you, Mac.
Of course, I selected my own clothes. He selected his, or I rather wanted him to wear that. Then, of course, there's Dheeraj who says, eye opener, he says now.
Ayo.
I love that. Jigna is saying, happy to see Biren Bhai on Radio Masti Live with Renuka. All right, fantastic. We're getting answers to our question. Good, I like that. and people are writing that. Okay, I don't want to tell what they're writing. Jigna's, of course, corrected herself. First, she said, "Happy to Biren Bhai."
Okay.
And yes, keep the answers coming, guys. So I'm happy that you all want to be on the show. I would rather like to believe that, and I would love to see you guys on the couch here. But well, right now it is time for me to move on and, of course, present something extremely, extremely valuable to Birenji here. So, well, where is my very important gift that I
Oh,
have
thank
for
you.
him?
Thank you so much.
Biren, this is the Singapore skyline.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
it looks beautiful at night, as you know. And this is one of the 13 unique and exquisite pictures, which is, of course, the second copy is being presented
Thank
to
you.
you. And I certainly hope that
And
you
now it looks beautiful in the day as well.
certainly does. In your hands, even more.
you.
And that's for you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much. So, Biren, Montage of Singapore will obviously continue. And who or what do you think we should bring to this stage, which will add value to what Singapore is and something different? What do you think we should get the next time? Who is it going to be?
You know what? I think that the
Uh-huh.
next couple or the next guest that comes as a couple would be
Right.
really, really good. And from what I understand, it's a couple, a Chinese and an Australian, and they would bring a really good flavor
Mm-hmm.
to your show. Singapore being a cosmopolitan society with a lot of interracial marriages, not only that, but we also have Singaporeans marrying foreigners and then Singaporeans going abroad and
Mm-hmm.
marrying foreigners. It smacks of direct integration, understanding each other's culture, and I would be excited to see what the next couple that's coming to Singapore, to your show, sorry, would bring to your show. I think it would be really wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. And I also feel that, when it comes to Singapore, it's of course about the existence and the coexistence of several communities, but at the same time, coexistence within the house, within the family brings a different flavor. And we do see a lot of couples nowadays who are from different communities and sort of. So let's see, we're going to bring a flavor of that next time. And thanks, Biren, for introducing. But before I let Biren go, there is one extremely amazing side of his. And I've always been very, very impressed by that, if I may say so. So, well, apart from the voice, and he makes sure that whenever he's talking to me, he doesn't type. He records a voice message and sends to me because he wants me to appreciate the
Oh my
voice all the
God.
time. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to request him to share with us a piece of work which is very, very impressive. I've read it, but I want him to read it today. And it is written for the community.
That's
It
right.
is written for the love of Singapore.
Absolutely.
And it is written from the heart in a state of Birenness,
Oh,
as
God.
he calls that.
Thank you.
Biren, over to you. We really want to hear you
Sure.
say
So,
it.
so
Yes.
just for the record, it's for everyone who's touched my life, everyone that I've come across for even just a little bit of time. You guys have shaped me and have made me who I am. So I just want to return my thank you and hence this expression.
Amazing.
I'm going to read it, and I think it's going to play on the.
It's going to be on your screens and at the same time in the
I
beautiful
wish I had remembered
voice
it. Sorry, I
of
wish I had
Biren.
remembered it, but I don't remember it. So I'm going to read it. Can I?
Yes, absolutely. Go on.
You're not with me. Nope. No on my right, and you're not on my left. Neither are you in front of me, or are you behind me. In simple words, if I could express, then you're inside me, a part of my being. However, it's not that simple for me. You are somehow merged within, in the spaces of my heart and my state of being. You're like a mirror that gives me my reflection, through which I measure myself in the seva that I try to offer. I will always be in your shadow, where I experience a different type of joy. You will always be where I am, for within you will remain. But I pray, I request humbly, for you to offer me a small recess of your heart to park my emotions. Years of personal experiences, it is impossible to justify in a few words. But if you have felt even a fraction of the innate vibration of the energy these words carry, I would be eternally grateful to nature. I can't say I'm going to rest now. This is the beginning for me. It has taken me 32 years to understand the meaning of seva and what a community is. And now, for the next 32 years, I'll attempt to serve those I love to the best of my ability.
Wow. And as I say, Singapore, it epitomizes multiculturalism. And that is exactly what our guest today does as well. Well, this is Montage of Singapore, guys, and this is episode 2 for you, which featured Biren S Desai, my very, very wonderful friend, and of course, somebody, as I said, who's been a leader for many, many years, who's dedicated himself to the works of the community, collaborating, and of course, making sure it's not just the Singapore Gujarati society that sticks together and grows together and contributes to the larger community, but definitely SGS, which sort of even goes way beyond just themselves to bring different communities together. And that is the essence of Singapore, isn't it? So, till we meet next time, I just want to remind you guys that you can, of course, watch our episode on our app, which is Radio Masti 24/7, under the Masti AVI tab. You will see this episode, or of course, it will stick around on your Facebook pages as well for as long as you want. Thank you very much for tuning in today, and I hope you enjoyed this little conversation. But before I go, I must tell you, what did we learn from today? Well, just one little greeting to anyone who's in that elevator with you. Just a little greeting. Look beyond your gadgets and say a little hi. Bring a smile to someone's face, and I promise it's going to come back double on yours. And that's how slowly we integrate and celebrate our differences. Take care and have a fantastic rest of the evening. From the sets of Montage of Singapore, Renuka saying goodbye.